Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a few stories from the Pro Revenge archives. First one, how I got my revenge on a TV show. Let's jump right in. So to begin this story, I have to explain. I am a college student in Portugal, so sorry if my English isn't 100%. I was born and raised in Azores, some little islands in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. In order to pursue college, I had to move to the mainland. For this, I had to rent an apartment. It's a good apartment, 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, and a kitchen, and it's in a quiet neighborhood, so all good. This was until they started to do construction work in the apartment above. This construction work is made by a TV show called Querido Mudei a Casa that literally translates to, Honey, I Changed the House. It's quite famous here. They remodel the entire house, replacing everything in it with new furniture, new floor, you get it. So they make a lot of noise. I'm not the party kind of guy, and I'm quite calm and peaceful guy that likes to stay home, have some friends here, drink a bit, play some games, etc. And also, I do a lot of my college work at night in the apartment. I spend most of the day in class. So to explain this, Portugal has a law that you can make noise from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Most of my classes start around 11-12 p.m., which works great for me since I go to sleep around 4 a.m. due to all the work I have to do, and little plus time for myself. They start drilling the floor at around 8 a.m. every single day. Me and my housemate were shocked by the amount of noise they were doing. We let it pass since they shouldn't take more than a week to replace the floor. I made that assumption cause me and my dad did it once to our house back in the island. But no, that noise lasted for the entire time they were there. I got a bit upset since I couldn't sleep, but I also couldn't leave the college work undone. So I decided to try and talk with them. I went to the upstairs apartment and knocked. Then came this really fat and short guy looking at me like I wasn't even there, and the talk went like this. Hi, I'm from the apartment below. Hey, what do you want? I was gonna ask if you guys could start drilling at around 10 a.m. I'm a college student and I do most of my work at night. Sometime I only get to sleep at morning. Is it possible? Nah, we have a job to do. You should go to sleep earlier if you want to sleep. He closes the door. I was pissed but remain calm. After all, it kinda is my fault if I go to bed at that time. Some time goes by and the noise continues. I get grumpier and grumpier. I call the customer service of the show. They said politely that there is nothing they can do about it since it's in their legal rights. I should talk with the guys in the apartment so we can come to a conclusion. Weeks go by. I'm wondering, that f***ing apartment is the same size as mine. How the f*** are they taking so long? Until a glorious morning I wake up, normal routine, I go to the bathroom to take a shower. When I turn on the light, what do I see? My bathroom full of clay. Everything completely dirty, rocks everywhere, and an f***ing hole right on top of the f***ing toilet. I'm furious. My housemate arrives home that morning. He is not a calm person in this situation. I tell him about this. We both go to the upper apartment. I convinced him to let me talk. He agrees. I knock on the door. To my surprise, the same fat guy, but this time he was looking at me. You guys opened a hole in my bathroom? He interrupts. Yeah, we know. We already covered our part. Okay, but what about ours? Can't you guys fix it? I mean, you are men. Can't you fix the house? My friend is furious, but I calmly put my hand on him and keep talking. No way, you broke it. You're going to fix it unless we have to call the landlord and sue your show for this. Okay, we will fix it. No need to get all formal. We came back to the house. We could hear them making fun of us because of the hole. My friend is furious, but I'm calm because I already thought of a way to get back at them. Couple of days go by when they finally decide to fix the hole. 2 nice guys came down and fixed it, said they were sorry and everything. We chatted, they were cool, but my revenge was already planned. Sorry dudes. Me and my friend both have JBL speakers, the good one that can really play loud. This is where it begins. Every day I start to go to bed early now, so I can be up at 8 a.m. First, I take a shower and set up for college. Then, I plug both of the speakers to my laptop, search for Japanese porn, cause Japanese girls scream like hell in a high-pitched voice, leave the volume up in maximum, and let it play in a loop until I get home, around 6 p.m. Oh, my amusement was speechless. My housemate agreed with this since we both started to leave the apartment earlier, until one day we heard a knock on our door. It was the fat guy. Hey, I don't know what you're doing, but it has to stop. We're recording today, and we can't have those weird noises in the background. They record the episodes in the house, so they can authenticate the sound in the house and everything. They could easily use a studio for the sound, but they are really cheap on saving money. Nah, since you are in the legal right to make noise from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., I am too. I can make the noise I want in that period of time. That will really hurt the show, and you know that. People love this show. Probably your mother watches it and loves it. Maybe, but she knows how things are around here, so she doesn't really mind. I don't really mind, and the landlord doesn't mind. Can't you fix it yourself? The fat guy goes mad, starts stomping the ground as he turns around and leaves. This continues. I see the camera crew arriving from my window. They enter the apartment, knock on my door. I didn't even answer. Just some loud, lewd noises all day. This goes for 3 days straight with the camera crew, but one day they never tried again. I think the episode was cancelled due to the noise. The funniest part is that they make this construction free for people. The only revenue they gain is from the viewership of the episodes. It puts a smile on my face when I know that they just wasted a budget for nothing. Ah, sweet revenge. I'm sure the producers of the show weren't happy about what was going on, but I can almost guarantee you the contractors and the other people were laughing just as much as OP in that apartment. On to our next story. You can't kick out family, but let's jump right in. A story from my grandfather set in 1948-50 timeframe. Uncle Joe bought some land with a cabin on Lake Ontario back in the 1920s or 30s. Over the years, he kept adding to it. Another cabin, a bunkhouse that slept about 12, a boathouse, a shaded outdoor dining area under some trees, etc. Each summer, Uncle Joe would invite various parts of the large family up there, and it would be a grand time. It was just called The Camp and was well loved by the family. The only full-time resident of the camp was an older man who bred hunting dogs. This was the perfect area for that sort of thing. There were about 10 well-behaved adult dogs around most of the time, and the kids loved that each year there were puppies around too. But one year, Aunt Mabel and her passel of squalling, ill-behaved children came to the camp. No problem, they were family and welcome, except they stayed most of the summer. When my grandfather got there in July to stay 2 weeks, as he had always done, Mabel and crew had been there for a while already, and Uncle Joe later said that they didn't leave until September. He was too polite to kick them out, but he was fed up, especially when they made noises about coming back the next year. The next year, Uncle Joe asked my grandfather to go with him several weeks early to set up the camp. They talked to the dog breeder and hatched a plan. When Aunt Mabel and Brood arrived, everyone sat down to dinner at the outdoor dining area. The only change from last year was that there were metal plates nailed to the tables now. This caused a couple of raised eyebrows, especially when the explanation was that it was easier to clean this way, but everyone ate happily. Then, when everyone was done eating, my grandfather's time to shine came. He gave a loud whistle and yelled, "Dinner time!" A pack of hounds came from the other end of the camp at a run and jumped up on the tables. They started eating the leftovers, then licking all the plates clean. This took less than a minute. Uncle Joe and my grandfather stood nearby, nodding approvingly and patting the dogs. Uncle Joe said, "See? Easier to clean this way. Want to go fishing now?" My grandfather reported it was the first time he had literally seen someone's jaw drop open and start gaping open and closed like a fish. Mabel and Brood somehow decided to leave the next morning before breakfast. It had taken 2 weeks to train the dogs, and Uncle Joe and my grandfather had to spend the rest of the summer breaking them of the habit of jumping on the dining tables. Everyone agreed it was worth it. Mabel and Brood never returned to the camp. TLDR, there once was an old crank named Mabel, whose brood were all crass and unstable, but canines she hated, so we educated the dogs to all eat off the table. On to our next story. Look after my kids again. Let's jump right in. Back when I was a teenager, my aunt would ask me to babysit her kids. It didn't happen often, so I really didn't mind as long as she bought me pizza and her 2 children were well behaved. Anyway, she was a divorcee, and after a couple of years, she remarried. His 2 kids were alright as well, and I didn't mind babysitting for them when they asked me to, about 3 months after their wedding. This is when it starts going downhill. Firstly, no pizza. Second, they came home 3 hours later than they said they would and didn't give me a lift home. I'm 16 at this point and a very big guy, so no worries walking home, but it was about 2 a.m. in the morning. Then they started to take advantage. Almost every week they wanted me to look after their kids for no pay and would get extremely pissy about it if I refused, often having a go at my mother who would cry. I hated that. Fine. So they called me to look after their kids so they could go and do their regular, we'll be home by 10, but we mean 1 a.m. Okie dokie. I rocked up. Sure enough, no food aside from the kids' dinner. I raided their fridge. Then, at about midnight, I woke the kids up, took them into the lounge, and put on a video. They were a little confused, but excited to be up at that time. I then gave each of them a can of Red Bull and a packet of lollies. About 20 minutes later, the parents showed up and I left. They never asked me to babysit for them again. Apparently, they shouted at my mother and Dad told me off, but he couldn't stop laughing, so I wasn't in too much trouble. You know, if my kids had one of these situations, I think I would have reacted with a high five and a congratulations, because that was really well thought out. I want to thank all 3 OPs for posting their stories to the Pro Revenge subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them all an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends. And we'll see you in the next one.